Is there a brewing racial crisis within America's COVID-19 pandemic? Relief payments to start being deposited within 2 weeks. And Nancy Pelosi creates a watchdog panel to oversee the COVID-19 spending. Today on The Diamond K Show. Episode 413 of the program. Welcome back to man Diamond K in here. The Diamond K Show. Radio on Fire, of course, providing breaking news, entertainment, and political stories that matter to you from an independent point of view. Finally, after lying and calling the COVID-19 epidemic a hoax or something that the left was using for impeachment, or claiming that it would go away when the sun came out or when the weather warmed up, or that it was just like the flu, or we'd be ready to open up by Easter, or that he felt good about some anti-malaria drug. The President Trump, may finally be facing the facts. Recent press conferences have been dark, but a move in the right direction, relying on science and basically being realistic. The denial, the excuses, the irresponsible words, the lack of action, or the refusal to take COVID-19 serious is going to lead to more death in this country. The slow response that has been implemented or not implemented has caused a lot of the deaths that we are now seeing because, of course, many people who did not exhibit any symptoms could infect other people. So when you have places that you don't lock down, they're just ticking time bombs. Ticking time bombs. There is no magic cure for COVID-19. No miracle drug as of yet. But we have to continue to fight and stop the spread of this virus. The way this virus and this pandemic on a whole has been handled is borderline criminal. The president and his supporters dismissed this as the flu. Remember, not that long ago, our friends in conservative media have been pushing this air of deniability, just acting like it's over there but not over here. When we're in the same country, a virus is not going to respect any borders. It's not. Many of Trump's supporters, the ones that hang on his every word, are still downplaying this pandemic. But as time goes on, they're not going to be able to continue to deny what is right in front of them. There are people with coronavirus, COVID-19, in every state in this country. And people that think that because they're somewhere where the outbreak is not nearly as big as, say, California, they still have a lot to worry about. And because it's not there right now does not mean that it is not coming there. And just because you don't see a mass breakout of it doesn't mean that it's not there, because people can infect others without symptoms. Finally, Atlanta, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, places where they've been denying or downplaying, still having spring break, still having people going out, encouraging people to go out. They're finally placing people on a stay-at-home order. Now, Trump is not doing this on a national level. He's putting it off to the governors because he wants to have plausible deniability in everything. And that's just the president. You listen to the Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this. And we are back. Radio on Fire, your man Diamond K, The Diamond K Show. Social media at The Diamond K Show. So, worldwide cases confirmed over 1 million. People that have recovered, 210,000. And deaths worldwide, 52,000. So let's concentrate on these numbers, because I don't even want to talk about China's numbers. Let me tell you why. I don't believe China's numbers. I can't. We can't believe anything that China says, really. I mean, we got to take it with a grain of salt, because the Chinese government has done a disservice. That's not even good enough. The Chinese government has acted in a criminal way, the way that they withheld information. So I can't really trust the numbers of China. And this is not a slight against the people of China, but the government and the way that information is dispersed. I can't trust it. So what we say, and people say that America has the largest numbers of COVID-19. I don't know that to be true. How do we know that China still does not have the largest numbers, but they're not revealing it? When this pandemic was starting, China was not revealing information or withholding information or stopping whistleblowers from talking about information. So they could be doing the same thing now. I don't know that. But let's talk about the confirmed cases in the United States. Currently, 243,229 cases. 10,000 have recovered. We've had almost 5,800 deaths. Almost 5,800. And when you look at a place like Florida, COVID-19 cases started to soar this week. Right now, they have, just under 8,000 cases. Deaths have past 100. The most recent model is suggesting that COVID-19 cases in Florida will peak in early May. This is happening because Governor DeSantis has been slow in acting to protect the citizens of Florida. And he wants to blame that on Trump. I'm sorry. He's waiting for Trump to say something. And but the pressure became to be too much. And they finally have tried to put a lid on things. But now you're going to have Floridians feeling the impact of this slow action. Florida's cases surging over the last few days. And the stay-at-home order has not even gone into effect yet. But when it does peak, we're talking about May, that this is going to peak. Who's going to be to blame? You're going to blame Obama for that? You can't blame Obama for that. This is the fault of, and Trump has successfully dodged it. It wasn't Trump, right? DeSantis, you should have done it. You were in charge. So who's going to take the blame for what's going to happen in Florida? That I guess blame is maybe the wrong word, but once we have separated and gotten through this crisis, and we really have to look back and prevent it from happening again. And hopefully we are going to start to see things slowly trend down in Florida. But the death toll is rising as of this broadcast. 128 deaths in Florida and rising. So we talk about COVID-19, and we talk about the reaction, the economic impact. The plan for payments was initially going to be 3 weeks from now. They were going to be depositing payments in people's accounts, the IRS. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin announced today that payments were going to be a little bit early. This time, 2 weeks from now, they should be seeing these relief payments, as much as $1,200 per person. So they're ahead of schedule, supposedly. But let's hear from Steve Mnuchin, who spoke at today's White House press briefing.
We need to get money to small business and American workers, and that's what we're doing. The SBA and Treasury committed to get this program up and running tomorrow, and when Jovita says people working around the clock, we had both teams working till 4 o'clock in the morning and start working again today. We've heard feedback from lenders, community banks, regional banks, and we spent the last 24 hours making this system even easier. So this will be up and running tomorrow. I encourage all small businesses that have 500 or fewer people, please contact your lenders. Any FDIC institution will be able to do this, any credit union, existing SBA lenders, and fintech lenders. You get the money, you'll get it the same day. You use this to pay your workers. Please bring your workers back to work. If you've let them go, you have 8 weeks plus overhead. This is a very important program.
So Mr. Mnuchin said that he was pleased to report that within 2 weeks, the first payments will be direct deposited.
I'm also pleased to report the economic impact payments. I had previously said this would take us 3 weeks. I'm pleased to report that within 2 weeks, the first payments will be direct deposit into taxpayers' account. And as the president said, last night the president authorized me to say that anybody that has Social Security recipients won't need to file a new tax return, and we'll have that. If we don't have your direct deposit information, we'll be putting up a web portal so that you can put that up. It is a very large priority. The president has made clear we want to get this money quickly into your hands.
Into the taxpayers' accounts. So, people that owe the IRS, the money that you owe is going to be deducted from that amount.
You can immediately get that money. You can deduct it from what you owe the IRS immediately. If you don't owe us money, you'll get a refundable tax credit. So that is up and running. I'm also pleased to report we have the program up and running. We're taking applications from the airlines, from the cargo companies, and from national security companies. Initially, they said 3 weeks. Now it is allegedly going to be 2 weeks. Now, listen, I say allegedly because we've heard this kind of stuff before. We're going to see whether that really happens. He said, Mr. Mnuchin, that if we do not have your direct deposit information, we'll be putting up a web portal so you can put that up. And of course, they had to throw some type of a jab at the Obama administration, saying this: we're delivering on our commitments. Let me just say, when Obama sent out these checks, it took months and months. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And as far as the web portal, people often want to speak about this is true, speak about the website crashing and issues that happened during the ACA. We'll see how the web traffic goes with this portal. There have been reports of all types of sites being down connected with the administration and what they're doing. So I'm gonna hold off on this judgment. We're going to see what happens. However, there is more that needs to be done, and the majority of this money is going to businesses and not to the American people per se. But getting some of these important, what they call national security companies like the airlines back on their feet is important. But it needs to be done the right way. There needs to be some oversight. And President Trump referenced some of this oversight. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also announced today the creation of a special House Select Committee to oversee the $2 trillion federal response to the coronavirus crisis. So Representative Jim Clyburn, the Democratic whip, the very influential Democratic whip, will lead the bipartisan panel, which will be authorized to examine all aspects of the federal response to the coronavirus and ensure that taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely and efficiently. The panel will root out waste, they said, fraud and abuse. It will protect against price gouging, profiteering, and political favoritism. Pelosi told reporters on the press call, "We need transparency and we need accountability." So you already know, transparency and accountability, something that President Trump does not like. This is what he's going to call the new witch hunt. This is what he's going to call the new hoax. This is going to be the thing that he attaches and attacks when he's unable to spend money the way that he wants to spend it. Trump also talked about the national stockpile of personal protective equipment, what we're calling the PPE, but they're saying it's near depletion because they're sending it directly to hospitals. He did not mention today that they're also sending stuff overseas. Residents from at least 38 states, Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, are under orders to stay home as Trump still resists a nationwide call. In order to truly handle this, we do need a nationwide call. You're going to see other countries pass us in putting a cap on this pandemic because of the way that it's handled, how they're attacking this. The fact that we're leaving it up to 50 individual governors and elected officials to handle, as opposed to the one person who claims he has the authority and does have the authority to do it, won't do it because he does not want to be held responsible. He wants all of the glory, but doesn't want to get his hands dirty when the time really comes. We constantly hear him talk about, if it hadn't been for me closing the borders, then who knows what will be happening. But all you did was close the borders. There was no organization of PPE. There was no organization of ventilators. There was no organization of gloves or masks or gowns or gurneys or anything. There was nothing. If there is a break-in in your complex, but it's not in your apartment, that doesn't mean that you do not need to lock your doors. That doesn't mean that you do not need to have a security system because someone hasn't broken in your house. It's close, and it could affect you because it is close. All of the states are connected, just like all of the places, all of the dwellings in your complex are connected. So what happens to one can affect all of you. And it's about preparation, and you can't prepare when something already happens, not effectively. So we need to be more proactive instead of reactive. And that's what this president is, reactive. But America needs some proactivity. All right. Trump also announced that he's going to take stronger action to compel private companies to provide needed medical equipment. A lot of these companies are not set up for this. So they have to do a lot of reconfiguring to get set up. But that is going to happen, and that is something that needs to happen. He needs to make a move, stand by the move. He does a lot of stone throwing and then hiding his hands. He's scared to really go there. He's scared to really go there because really he is in fear of his supporters. Because the whole Trump movement is not really about Trump. It's really about the supporters. He's just the figurehead for the moment. So, take a quick break. We're going to come back with more of the program after this. And we are back. So I have on my signature Ice Cube, or classic, we call it classic Ice Cube from, Boys in the Hood time, around that time period. So I thought my bandana would be good to go with that. So you'd be wondering, like, why is he dressed like that? What is going on with him? That's what's going on with me. We're back on the Diamond K Show. Your man, Diamond K, in here. President Trump said that he again tested negative for COVID-19 this morning, and he used a rapid 15-minute test, and the second go around was a lot easier and more pleasant. As you know, the initial test and the tested. He's referring to, he took it first. He take this long swab and stick it up, like way up here, and it's definitely not pleasant looking. So I can imagine. And Trump said this: "From the White House position, you may have it," the president said, holding up the White House memo with his negative test results. "I think I took it really out of curiosity," he said, "and to see how quickly and fast that it worked." So there you have that. Trump is tested negative. He failed his or passed his test, and I think that he is going to have to continue to take the test because he is continuously exposed to many people that have come in contact with it. Lastly, we may be waiting for a racial time bomb to explode with this disease. What do I mean? What am I talking about? People have been asking for the racial breakdown of patients and deaths and people infected. What is the racial makeup of this pandemic? Why would people ask that? Let me say this. We've heard President Trump and his supporters, people in the COVID-19 task force, say that hundreds of thousands of Americans could die. And if that happens, then that's the good response. It could be worse than hundreds of thousands, several hundreds of thousands. If President Obama had said, America, the good thing, on the good side, we'll lose a couple 100,000 people, can you imagine what the right would be saying? They wouldn't be saying, "Woo, oh, Obama did such a good thing. We're only going to lose a couple 100,000 people." Americans would be losing their minds. Conservative America would be losing their mind if President Obama had said something like that. But Trump is who he is, and Trump has been allowed to get away with saying something like that. So we talk about the racial makeup, and the reason why I ask about that is, let's look at another thing. COVID-19, right? $2 trillion fell off the sky, record time. But let's look at a place like Flint. Had a water crisis that affected Black and poor people, Black and brown people, and white people too. People not of privilege. Still hasn't been fixed. No money came. Would have been a lot less money, a couple millions of dollars, right? But because it did not affect the masses, because it affected mainly poor people, mainly Black and brown people, and some white people, was no big deal. No one really in Washington D.C. felt the need to pass a real bill, real accountability. Yeah, some people went to jail, but their water's still messed up, right? Here in Baltimore, in the schools, the water's still messed up. There's a lot of places they didn't want to fix that because then there would have been more water to be fixed. Because there are places all around this country where people are poor, and there's no real sense of urgency for them. There's a sense of urgency in this because the rich people are uncomfortable. Then things moved pretty quickly. But we don't know all of the makeup of the victims. Are poor people the only ones dying? No. Are poor people the main ones dying? I don't know. We need to see the racial makeup. Are every one of the classes of people getting the same type of treatment? Probably not. And I'm sure that when we get on the other side of this, we're going to see a lot. And that is why people are asking about that. They're putting together some teams to study the racial discrimination or if there is racial discrimination in the response to the coronavirus. You're going to start seeing this. You're going to start hearing about this. And I know people are saying, why are they asking about that? So there are going to be focus groups. There are going to be interviews. There are going to be surveys, but they're also going to be a detailed examination at the data. Here in Maryland, a team of college professors is about to start a study about how people have been racially discriminated against during this. Chinese Americans have been discriminated against. And there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot. And when the data comes out, we're going to really be able to analyze it. But there's no doubt in anyone's mind that this pandemic has brought out the best and the worst in people. So there's a race for a vaccine, which has not come yet. We're probably a year and some change away from that. But the important thing is, and people, you hear it all the time. People say, we're all in this together. And we are. And we are. But we want to all rise out of this together. We don't want Black and brown poor people to be left on the other side of this, and some other people rise from the ashes. We're all in this together, so we all need to rise together. You listen to the Diamond K Show, of course, here on Radio on Fire. Also, social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at the Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire. And I'm also doing a lot of browsing on TikTok. Hilarious. The videos are hilarious. And also, I am on TikTok at the Diamond K Show. For any show archives, exclusive content, hit that subscribe button. However you're hearing this or seeing this, you can also become a member at radioonfire.com/join. We are reporting for the nation. And I always say it, these are fascinating times that we live in. Politics, social issues, entertainment are breaking ground that have never been seen before. So join me daily for the Diamond K Show. And I will give you my thoughts on breaking news and so much more. You can hear the program on Spotify, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Libsyn, Facebook, Instagram. Just search the Diamond K Show or subscribe at youtube.com/DJ Diamond K. See you guys tomorrow.